Hello and welcome to our last Facebook Live of 2022. Always feels a little bit weird to get to the end of the year. But here we are at the end of the year, just like that. We're going to carry on today with our Boxing Week demo. And I've had 2 days of sewing on camera and I love to sew, but really truly love embroidery. So today we are going to embroider through the project, the Cocoa and Cookies tea towel. I'll show you how to use the file when you get it home to your house so that you're not stuck wondering, but how? So that's where we're headed today. Today is day 3 of a 3-part demo. First one was filmed Tuesday. Next one was filmed yesterday. If you would like to get this design for free, you have 3 little jobs to do. Each day has the little project for you listed, and you need to have that done. We're going to give you a little bit of an extension because I know you might have wild plans over the weekend. I don't know, like we're in 2023. So we'll give you till January 6th to get those 3 little things done. We'll go through what you need to do for today's video at the end of the video once we're through the embroidery. Unless the embroidery is taking forever, and then I'll do it in the middle while the embroidery channel runs. So without further ado, let's carry on and make a tea towel. The instructions for this project also include the sewing directions, and you could hand embroider this as well and do regular machine applique if that would be more your speed. So for those of you that already have embroidery machines, this will fit in a 5x7 hoop, which is pretty friendly. And the embroidery is actually set up to do 2 separate steps with the embroidery so we can get our tea towel nice and centered. So a little bit of prep work on our tea towel, and then we'll get our hoop ready and we'll show you what those steps are to building your design. So first up, I'm going to swap over to this camera. On our tea towel, we like to have things nice and centered and organized. So if I'm looking at the front of my tea towel, my design is going to go roughly there. The actual project has a fabric border that I've not made. I'm going to do that after. It's at the end of the instructions. So fabric border is going to go that 1.5 inches up that we talked about yesterday. It's going to get pieced and then stitched down, probably in a nicer pattern than what I'm making right now. So little scrappy bits of fabric is going to make our bottom border. So we're going to have to raise the embroidery up a little bit from where that border would be, which would put this higher than where you would want it if you were just embroidering it. If you go to do this project and you're not doing the fabric border along the bottom, you'll want to drop your embroidery down so that the bottom of it is 1.5 inches up. That's where you're going to need to head. We can figure out what that measurement is as we go today, and I'll let you know what it is. It's probably about 5.5 inches up instead of 8, roughly. Don't quote me on that. So to get this nice and centered, the way I like to mark these is to give them a little press to find towel center, and give it an iron after it comes out of its package, because sometimes when things ship, they're all crunchy and not quite where we want them, or there's a pretty permanent crease somewhere we don't quite want it. But we would like our design centered when we go to use our towel. And then our marking point for this is 8 inches up from the bottom of the tea towel. So I've got a wash away marker in a nice bright blue that you may or may not be able to see on camera. And I am going to draw more lines than I would if I was just doing this at home. I'm pretty comfortable with this method. But visually for you guys, at home, it will be easier and make more sense when you're watching this video if we've got all the lines for all our crosshairs in place. So, nice big blue crosshair drawn on our project on the back side. And this in a moment is going to allow us to do something really cool and place this really accurately in the hoop without being a hooping ninja, which I love. Stabilizer that I'm using for today's project, I'm just going to drop my ruler out of the way. Stabilizer that I'm using for today's project is a Stabilstick tearaway from OESD. This is a paperback stabilizer and has a sticky side to it, so it's fabulous. It's going to hold our project for us and eliminate all sorts of headaches later on. So we're going to hoop shiny paper side up. And usually with these Stabilstick type or paperback stabilizers, you need to get your hoop a whole lot looser than normal because they're very stiff and they're going to fight you every step of the way. But it's worth the fight to get the sticky feature enabled. Sticky stabilizer unlocked. You'll feel like an Uber ninja. And this way we don't have to manage trying to hoop over the hem of this tea towel. With the paperback stabilizers, we're just going to score a line in the paper. Using a pin is great. We're going to take the paper layer off. The smaller the hoop you're using, usually the harder this is to do neatly. To get this hoop. If you really struggle to hoop Stabilstick tearaway, you could take the paper layer off and then hoop it. It's a fair bit softer to work with and way friendlier. So all the paper off. So we have all that sticky stuff to hold our tea towel in place in just a moment. So from here, I'm going to do this with a color I would not normally use for this, but just so it's really clear and obvious on camera, I'm going to use a red thread. And normally I would just do this in white when I'm actually building a project. Oh, why Stabilstick instead of Ultra Clean and Tear Plus? Both would do the trick. There are two versions of Sticky Back Stabilizer from OESD in the tearaway world. Stabilstick tearaway is like a traditional tearaway. We'll be able to peel it out from behind our design. Over time, it'll break down a little bit. Any of the stabilizers that are called Plus from OESD are water soluble. So Ultra Clean and Tear Plus or Stabilstick would both work great in this project. I happen to have a roll of 15-inch Stabilstick tearaway that was open. So that's why I opted for this one today instead of opening another roll of the other kind. But both would work awesome. So that's the only reason, is both will work. Not a big wrong either way. There are two files with this project. And the first one that we're going to be using is called the centering crosshairs. So it just stitches a crosshair type design in the center of our hoop. It's going to allow us to place our towel super accurately and make it ridiculously easy to carry on and put our next project in. This centering crosshair file, I would say save it to your machine because it is useful in so many other places beyond this, and especially when you're working with sticky back stabilizers. So I'm going to attach my hoop. Today I'm embroidering on a Brother NS2850D. The key part to using these centering crosshairs is don't move them around in the hoop. Just open them, stitch them, because then they will center in the hoop where your next design will open and center. And like I said, we're going to stitch this in red, mostly so it's so much easier for you guys to see it on camera. And that's all there is to that little stitch out, is that tiny little bit of stitching. It's not complicated. But we can see that nice red line on there. Just gonna get the machine back and open the other file. Cookies and cocoa design is actually ready to go. So from the nice blue crosshairs I made on the back of my tea towel to marry it to my stabilizer in my hoop, I'm going to fold the tea towel into quarters based off of that spiffy little grid line I gave myself. That, you know, it looks like a crosshairs. It will be nearly the same as crosshairs. Doesn't really matter how you fold this, just keep track of where your top is. So right now, when I flip this over, top right quadrant, that's the left. Top left quadrant will land in the top left quadrant of the design. Question from YouTube: what did you do to get the crosshairs? The crosshairs are included in the free file. So if you're following along with today's video, there's a little bit of work for you to do to get today's free file, and it will be included in that file when you get it. So you'll have to do today's little bit of work, yesterday's, and Tuesday's. So you'll have to go back and find those other videos. They are in our most recent lives on our YouTube channel. And the crosshairs file is something that Kimberbell often includes in their projects, including in events. So I've taken that, it's folded into quarters off those fancy blue lines, and I'm going to unfold to open and stick that down to my stabilizer. So the nice thing about using the red thread and the bright blue marking is very gently I can flip this over, and you might not be able to see it on camera, but I can see that the blue line I drew on the tea towel exactly matches the red stitch line I left on the back of the hoop. So now this is ready to go back over to my machine and start the second part of the project. And before I get too excited, I'm going to figure out what color of thread I need. I think I'm going to start with brown. I'm going to start with brown. I could have done those crosshairs in brown too. Also would have been acceptable. One of the other things you might want to do when you're using sticky back stabilizers like Stabilstick or Ultra Clean and Tear Plus or any of the other ones, chrome coated needles from Schmetz are a non-stick finish, and there is embroidery non-stick needles. They'll be quite friendly to work with and help reduce some of the gum up that happens with stickier stabilizers. So, bottom of the tea towel facing me, that's the orientation the design is set in the machine. And then we're going to follow the instructions that are included in your project file when you get that from us. So, and edit. And this is going to land exactly centered on top of the crosshairs we just centered. Embroidery. And according to this, we've got a 35-minute stitch out with 23 color changes. So we've got a bit of time together today on the embroidery channel. And there's some trimming for applique. The first thing that is stitching out right now is a background of a stand, the Coco and Cookie stand. We'll follow that up with a placement line for the cork that we're going to be using. And just a little bit about this machine while we're watching it stitch. This is one of the newer brothers on the market, released this fall. It is Disney capable, which if you've got some Disney fans in your house, it's got some really funky designs built into it. It also offers Brother's new Wi-Fi capabilities and links to the Art Spirit app, which is super cool. It has that automatic thread trimming, which is so lovely, so we don't have to go back and trim all the jump stitches. Some of the cool things involved in this project, there is also heat transfer vinyl, applique glitter vinyl. We're doing some applique work with both fabric and cork. And it leaves eyelets at the end that we'll be able to string fairy lights through. So not super functional detail design with the fairy lights in there, but super cute. And we'll get one of those eyelet punch. We'll punch the eyelets at the end once they're installed. So after those stand bits are stitched, I'm just going to carry on with the brown thread, stitch the placement lines for the cork applique. And most applique is done this way, where you'll get a placement line, you'll put your fabric down, you'll get a tack down line to hold your fabric in place, and then you will trim after your tack down line. And while this is super cute on the gray polka dot tea towel, you could be on any tea towel you want, or put it on something different. This would be a really cute block to combine with some of the other demo December things. We have one more set of 3 demos from earlier this month that you're still able to play along with, and you have until the end of the day tomorrow to watch those 3 videos. They're called Demo December. Again, they're on our YouTube channel under a Demo December playlist. And you can earn the free design for that series as well. And you can combine those 2 things into a super cute project. And I'm gonna just pop this off for a moment. It's easier to place applique fabric when it's flat on the table instead of sitting up there. Applique tape rattle. So to keep things from shifting and moving when you're appliquing in the hoop, it's wise to tape your fabric down, make sure it's fully covering your placement lines. We don't need a ton of tape to hold it in place. The cork is pretty sturdy. A couple of our other things today are a little flimsier, will probably require a little bit more aggressive taping. This is Kimberbell paper tape. There's also tape from OESD that works great. So they also have a tearaway tape and a washaway tape. So depending what you're up to, sometimes tearaway tape is fantastic. Sometimes washaway tape, if you know your project's going to get washed later on, you can use that. So that covers our placement line. And then this is going back onto our machine, making sure our tea towel is not caught underneath the hoop, because that leads to sad embroidery. And then we'll stitch the tack down lines. And the cork is done with a raw edged technique. So this stitch out here will be the final stitch out on this cork. So our trimming needs to be pretty tidy, because we're not covering it up with a heavier satin stitch later on, which often happens in embroidered applique, but not all the time. This is a little faster without the satin stitch. So you can make more of these for gifts if you're into making tea towels for gifts. Other things lurking in behind me in the display today. We have Lori Holt Calico fabric. Some of that might play pretty nice into some tea towel designs. And there's lots of colors and variety for that, depending on what kind of vibe you like. And today we spent some time prepping our video for our quilting first class, our beginner quilting class that is starting January 13th. So if you're interested in learning to quilt, we'd love to have you join us for that class, either here in the store or via Zoom. Both are totally an option, and whichever way would work better for you, we'd love to have you join us for that. You can get registered online. If watching the embroider channel is kind of your thing, and you would like to do more embroidery or get started with embroidery, we've got embroidery classes scheduled in February. We have a Kimmerbell class called One Sweet Spring, as well as a Hoop Sisters class called Calla Lily. And then starting in March, we have a 2-day event with a guest instructor from OESD coming up from the US to see us. And that's one you won't want to miss. That's some of the best information, hands-on guest instructor from a company that makes stabilizer and designs. And that's called So Happy, happening March 2nd and 3rd. So if that interests you, you can sign up on the web or give us a call. And if you don't have a machine yet, I can safely say that there are embroidery machines on sale from both Brother and Bernina and Burnett, with sales running until we're extending the Brother one to January 7th, and the Bernina sale is running until January 31st. So there's a few different options if you're looking to get into your first embroidery machine. So I'm going to trim this applique. I'm going to leave about 1/8 of an inch around my cork. When trimming raw edge applique like this in the hoop, you don't want to get too close to those stitches like you might in another type of applique. So I'm leaving about 1/8 of an inch. These are a curved pair of OESD embroidery scissors. So that curve is going to help us avoid nipping our tea towel in below. And depending what you're up to, everybody has different preferences for scissors. So if you are joining us in store for a class, we'll let you try a few pairs to figure out what's going to work best for you. Because what works best for me and what works best for you might not be the same. But it's really important as you're trimming applique in the hoop to keep your hoop flat on the table so you avoid causing yourself grief by dislodging your embroidery from the hoop, or putting strain on the stabilizer and having things warp out of position. I love embroidering on cork, it's fun. This reminds me of a lemonade stand made by kids. But usually when kids in Canada have lemonade stands, they don't do Christmassy things like cookies and cocoa because it's hot. And it's more of a summer thing, and where you do, like, I bought cupcakes at a lemonade stand once this summer. They were delicious. Also had a cup of lemonade. I was pretty thrilled to find a lemonade stand. I was like, oh, this is great. A nice change of pace from all the garage sales I'd been wandering past. This goes back to the machine. We'll get it rethreaded for the next color in our project, which will be one of the little mugs. The best bet is to cut the thread at the needle or at the spool and pull out needle direction. Pulling thread backwards through these machines is not always the friendliest. For the machine, you don't want to get thread stuck somewhere where you can't get it out at home. Needle threaded. Let's get another placement line for a little bit of applique fabric for a tiny little mug. Again, a little bit easier to do this placement back off the machine or partway off the machine. We don't want to press down on the hoop, but we do want to make sure that we get everything secured and cover that placement line completely and not glue ourselves to the hoop. Sometimes that's more challenging than it sounds. Or tape ourselves to the hoop. We don't need to be taped to the project. That's what I'm trying to say. Put up so I can get my hoop off. And again, we're going to trim. With fabric, this is being satin stitched afterwards here. I'm going to go about a 1/16 of an inch away from that stitch line. Each brand's embroidered applique requires a slightly different distance. With Kimberbell, about a 1/16 of an inch is usually pretty happy to get covered thoroughly by the satin stitch and not have fuzzy fabric bits sticking out later on. And sometimes the finishing stitches happen right away in embroidery. On this project, it's actually carrying on with the applique, and we'll come back and do the final decorative heavy fills at the end. So I'm going to switch. Ooh, my next mug is white. We're going to switch to white. I don't like to do white fabrics with red thread if I don't need to. I don't need unnecessary show through on something that is trying to be a little more white. Will be the placement line for our next mug. Again, taping when this is flat. It's just on the bed of the machine. It's also a very tiny little piece. Get our tack down line. Somebody on Facebook says I'm on their big screen TV. It's the joy of TVs these days. You can get YouTube, Facebook, all those things giant on whatever TV you have. I watch a lot of YouTube on my phone, so it's wee little YouTube. But yeah, being able to watch this on the big screen, that sounds awesome. Might be deceiving though, because when you get home and you have a regular size project instead of a life-size coffee cup, which is probably what this zooms out to, not quite as exciting. Like, Leah, I thought that was going to be a full-size coffee mug, not a coffee mug a little too big for a Lego man. It's bigger than what a Lego man could hold. Realize that's also a really odd size reference for a crew that probably doesn't play with Lego a whole bunch themselves. Guessing we all have kids and friends and grandkids that play with Lego though. This mug is too big for a Lego man. Maybe the right size for a Barbie, though. Make a cute little display for a girl's dollhouse. Or maybe turn this into a panorama for a dollhouse. That'd be cute. And next up is the pot to hold their Christmas tree. We're going to do the placement line in white and then switch to red thread. I'm going to stitch the tree with the pot with red. Little placement line. The next piece that's going down, I'm actually not using fabric. I'm going to be using something called applique glitter vinyl. Glitter vinyl is a heat transfer vinyl, which means it can be ironed down and it can be cut with a digital cutter like a scan and cut, which is super cool. Need a 5C labeled on that stand. Oh, 5 cents. I think it's actually 25 cents. So applique glitter vinyl is a 2-layer product. If you're putting this in your digital cutter to cut it, you'll be putting the wrong side of the glitter facing upwards. And the goal is to cut through just the glitter layer. And then the clear layer is used for ironing. So but it is awful to stitch through. Don't stitch through the clear layer on this stuff. It will make you unhappy. You don't have to iron this product down in something like this tea towel. It'll be pretty happy just stitched in place. You'll have a little more body, if you will. You'll be a little bit poofy. So if that makes you happy, you can, or we can still use that clear layer, and we'll take this over to the iron. We just have to be really careful not to iron the cork. Tack down on our glitter. Oh, I know what that comment's referencing. 5 cents. Sounds like the Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown? Do I know my cartoons? Probably I don't. I've acquired all the extra thread. It's all attached to me. So again, trimming this at about 1/16 of an inch. Yes, peanuts. Clearly I don't know my stuff. I'm the wrong age. Terrible with social media or like pop culture. All of those things. Terrible. So if I was to iron this down in place, I would take the clear layer that I saved from just a little bit earlier, and I would iron it before I do any more stitching. What I've got here is a tiny, tiny little iron. And usually this heat transfer vinyl needs a good 10 to 15 seconds with a fairly hot iron. And it's just fine to iron right over top of this tea towel. It's we actually need to press it, which means we're not wiggling that iron around. We're just counting to that 15-second mark to get it tacked down. So then that clear layer will come right back off. It'll be magical. So we've got a tiny little pot for our tree. And then we get into the fun stuff. I think that's all our applique pieces down. Oop, I actually did still need the red thread. What am I doing? Rethreading the machine. Read the directions before you get excited about switching thread colors. This will be my little satin stitch. Oh no! Oh, I did need to switch colors. Whoops. So, that was stitching the tree, and I totally misread the color order there 2 times. But that gives me the opportunity to show you how to recover when you do things slightly wrong. I don't think it'll be much of a difference if we have that little smidge of red underneath our tree, because the tree is fairly densely stitched when we're all done. But being able to navigate backwards through our design to recover from oopsies is an important skill to have. So we'll get the machine rethreaded and show you how to back up. At least on a brother. Mind your eyes for just a moment. We're going to swing over to look at the screen. And so I just got started on machine step number 10. That's what's showing up there. And I totally did it the wrong color. So before panicking and saying that my project is ruined, it is not. We're just going to back up. And on this machine, that needle plus minus will allow us to back up single stitch by single stitch, or entire color by entire color. So machine step, we could go back to machine step 9. and then back to 10, and that would get us back to the beginning of 10. We could also go forward and backward by single stitches, 10s or 100s on this machine. Some of the other Brother embroidery machines, you can also skip by thousands. So that should take us back to the beginning of machine step 10 and the beginning of our tree. We'll do our tree in green because that would make me happier. Stitching that happens at the beginning of lots of embroidery is called underlay. So this is laying down a foundational stitch to hold up the decorative stitch at the end. In this case, the decorative stitch being the satin stitch. This helps keep the fabric in place and build enough structure that it doesn't just collapse in on itself. So although we can still see a smidge of red in there, it'll be covered in a moment. Using a color roughly similar to Isocord 5912. I think it is 5912. It's not as dark green as like a true coniferous green would be, but it's pretty cute. Oh, that forward, backward with the thread break. Also, if you've run out of bobbin thread, super useful to know how to do that. Or if there's just a part of the design you don't want to do. So if you decided you didn't want one of these mugs on here, you could just skip past all the steps for that single mug. You've got options. Just because the design suggests that you do all these things doesn't mean you actually have to follow the instructions. They're a good starting point. If you're unsure, make one according to the directions so you know what you can change in the next one. To not have like critical holes missing in your design later on. Because those little cups could be like lemonade stand cups. And you could omit the Christmas tree. It would totally be an option. Cute little tree. while we're watching the embroidery channel go, I'd love to hear from all of you what you're doing for New Year's. Are you doing what I like to do for New Year's, which is staying home and sewing? That's not what I'm doing for New Year's. It's my favorite thing to do for New Year's. What are you doing for New Year's? Because that is this weekend. If you're watching this later on replay, what did you do for New Year's to bring in 2023? Do you have any big sewing goals that you'd like to learn? What are you doing for New Year's, and what would you like to learn sewing and embroidery, quilting wise, in 2023? That's what I'd love to hear in the comments while we watch the embroidery channel go. We're in for a whole bunch of thread changes for the next little while. Stitching the bottom of the pot for my tree. Got cute little handles. I'm gonna spend New Year's with my mom and my grandma and my kids. Pretty sure my grandma's gonna be here. Applique with software classes. That's the vote from Eva on Facebook. Totally. Software. If you want to know how to make your own embroidery designs, software is the way to do it. We carry a couple different brands of software, both for other PE Design 11 as well as Bernina V9 Designer Plus. Yeah, it's definitely on the list of things we should be able to run classes on. Because being able to make your own applique designs like this, so much fun. Some sewing in a glass of champagne. At home relaxing. Woo! Somebody on YouTube's going to be hand binding a quilt. That sounds lovely too. That sounds like my kind of New Year's Eve. Should probably take some sewing with me to my mom's house. It'll have to be hand sewing though, because I'm not hauling a machine up for one night. But then definitely some sewing. Rough plan in the near future is making another sweater, similar to the one I'm wearing right now. Because it's pretty comfy, and winter keeps being like super cold in Calgary. So we've got some really gorgeous knits here in the store that are calling to be a sweater. Switch over and do some detail work on our stand. This design is done with just the 4 colors of thread, unless you decide to get creative when you do it yourself. Red, white, brown, and green. Oh, somebody on YouTube is going to work on their candy cane lane bench pillow. That sounds like a fabulous idea too. Fabulous idea. You could take this design and add it into your candy cane lane bench pillow. This is a kit that can be purchased. So we have a few kits made here in store. It's called the Coco Stand Tea Towel Kit. It didn't hit the web because we've only got a couple. But if you're doing the thing to get the design, you can put in the notes that you would like a kit. Or give us a call if you're at the store and we can get you a kit. The kit includes the tea lights, 2 tea towels. There's the fancy winter buttons from Kimberbell with the snowflakes. and the fabric and the cork that you'll need. So a whole bunch of things in there for you. Speaking of today's video, I realize we're running a little long on time. My machine still has 21 minutes of embroidery to do, but it's our last Facebook and YouTube live of the year, so I'm good to keep going if you're good to keep watching. But for those of you that, might have dinner plans because it's Friday night at the end of the year, let me show you how you are going to get this free cocoa and cookies tea towel design, both the sewing and the embroidery version. So, I need my keyboard back. The machine slows down a whole bunch when it's doing wide satin stitches. Oh, somebody's babysitting. That sounds fun too. Get my window capture set up. It's not working. And we have to do another thread change. We'll go back here for a moment. So after the top of our bar, we're going to go in and do some detail. Stitch the light strand wire detail. Okay. So if you're wanting this free design, what you'll be doing is going to our website, mysewingroom.ca, or following the links below the video on YouTube or in the description on the Facebook video. And there is a Boxing Week demo. So today, your tough job is first you need to make an account on our website. And then from there, you will be adding the cocoa entry to your cart for today's step. Add that to your cart. Get in and view your cart. Make sure we don't have extras. Well, you can have as many things in your cart as you want. Today's the cocoa entry, and today's coupon code is COCOA. C-O-C-O-A. I have to rethread my machine. Seem to have snapped a thread along the way. That is your coupon code for today, so that will get you today's entry. You do need all 3 days worth of entries to earn the design. And if you need to add anything else to your cart, entering the coupon code will turn that $20 product into a free product. And then you can go in and add anything else that you might need, like tea towels or Stabilstick tearaway thread or an embroidery machine. The things you might need to make this design. And then you'll want to watch Tuesday's video and yesterday's video, part 1 and part 2 of this series, so that you get all 3 coupon codes entered. Apply coupon, turns that to a magical $0 sale. While you're in there making your cart with us for the first time, if you are shopping on our site for the first time, I highly recommend that you get yourself signed up for our email newsletter. It generally goes out on Fridays with all information about new fabrics coming out, new classes that we're launching, any sales that might be going on, and all of those things will be good for you to know. So start there, and it's time for another thread change. Nope, we have eyelets to stitch. We got light details. I'll go stitch eyelets also in brown. That is where you'll go for that. If you would like to join us for more classes, our upcoming classes are listed on our calendar, or you can search for all the Kimberbell goodness, using that Kimberbell as your search term. You'll find all sorts of great stuff, including things like the candy cane length bench pillow. If you're watching this video and it is still 2022, our Christmas fabric is all on sale, 40% off this week. We're open Saturday, December 31st until 2. But if you're placing orders over the weekend, they will also qualify. And you can definitely find fabric on sale on our website. So if that would make you happy, feel free to go looking for that. I'm just going to pop us back into the embroidery channel. We're stitching those eyelets. And this is what we'll string fairy lights through at the end of the project. Maybe while we're waiting for that to stitch, we'll talk about our eyelet punch. Because it still has 20 minutes to stitch. I have more things to talk about. So I'll show this up in front of a close-up cam. This is the OESD Perfect Punch. This is what I'm going to use to punch out my eyelets. There's different sized eyelet tips. So when we get ready to... Oh, you know what? We'll punch those in a moment when a couple of them are done. After we stitch this section, we'll punch 1 or 2 eyelets. We'll do it a little bit early. It'll be okay. How long will it take to get the design after you finish watching the demos? We will have the designs out to you if you have all 3 of your things done middle of next week. So you probably won't have them for the weekend because it takes us time to collect all those things. But middle of next week, we'll have those out to you, at least the first batch of people. So the people who watched early and did all 3 steps early, you'll get everything earlier. If you're playing along with the earlier demo December we did, the first batch of those went out already, and we'll follow up with everybody else who finished up at the end of the year early next week. Because I really am very excited to punch an eyelet, we're going to do that now before I keep stitching. I'm just going to take this off for a moment. So with this eyelet punch, what we're looking for is to pick a size of tip for our eyelet punch that fits inside. Oh yeah, there's a delay there. That fits inside that eyelet. So I'm not going to punch that one. I'm going to punch one over to the side that's less likely to be in my way later on. And there's a couple different sizes. This is the OESD Perfect Punch. I'm going to pick the medium size with this. And to punch these eyelets, all we have to do is get that punch centered through the hole so it's not on top of any of the stitching we just did. And push straight down and straight back up. That is all we need to do to punch eyelets with the eyelet punch. And then we can go through and punch all of those later on. But again, all you have to do to punch eyelets, center in the eyelet that's already stitched and push up and down. Doesn't work great on just unstabilized fabric, but the cork. You can punch holes in your cork, you can punch holes in just about anything. And no risk of your seam ripper causing epic damage, which is I've seen eyelets get punched that way too, which is very hard when you're dealing with little round circles. Stitching the top of the mug. And these cups actually have cocoa in them. Okay, so we're gonna stitch the back of the white mug with white. If you're enjoying having us do videos like this, it's super helpful if you share with your friends, your fellow crafters. Even those people that you're like, I want you to come sew with me. I don't care if you don't want to. Welcome to the club. Back of the white mug. And then we're going to put cocoa in our mugs. Made of thread. Everything should be made of thread. As much as cocoa is delicious, I would much rather have this be a cup of coffee. Don't drink a lot of cocoa myself. Kids quite enjoy it. Huge coffee drinker. That would make me way more happy. Everybody's doing it though. Or tea. I'd be up for a good cup of tea. You can pretend this brown liquid is whatever you want. If it needs to be Coca-Cola with some rum in it, you can do that too. I won't judge. Whatever liquid of choice makes you happy. The price of the kit for this design is $54.99, and that includes 2 tea towels, a set of fairy lights, so that you have lights for both tea towels, and fabric and buttons. And we just had a couple made, but we will be making more upon request. We did the cocoa fill. We're on to red mug outline. And if it's not on the web, you can request it in the notes on your Coco entry, or call or email. We've got options. Order desk at mysewingroom.ca is your fancy email address. Thanks. You're welcome. This would be really cute on an apron too. See, other places would be adorable. Maybe a Christmas apron for next year. It's a good time to start doing your Christmas sewing right now. As much as some people I know are totally over Christmas by December 30th, then you don't have to panic in November. I had a couple Christmas gifts done really early this year, and it was delightful. Picked fabric for another tree skirt for my mom for next year. I made my mom pick fabric for her tree skirt. Had so much fun making them this year, thought might as well make a couple more for next year. Let people pick and choose their own. You know you're an embroiderer when you go home covered in thread and paper tape at the end of the workday. All this white mug stitches. I'm going to show you a couple of the upcoming embroidery classes that you might want to join us for. Oh, I'll show you the other fun thing too. I can watch the embroidery channel, but we can do other things at the same time. From our website on the calendar, under classes and lessons, we scroll into January, quilting first class. And that's a basic beginner quilting class. If you've never actually made a quilt before, this would be a great place for you to start. That's running in January. When we roll into February, we'll finish up that quilting first class. And then for those of you watching the embroidery channel thinking, I want to embroider all the things, you're completely correct. Hoop Sisters, our Calla Lily wall hanging class. This requires a larger sewing field of 8 by 8 inches. And so this little machine that I'm running on today won't have a big enough hoop to accomplish this project. But we could definitely get you in store and put you on one of our machines to give a bigger machine a try. So that's running February 8th and 15th. And then Kimberbell's One Sweet Spring is a 2-day event. And there's an early bird price on this that is valid until tomorrow night, December 31st at midnight of $229, and then after that the price goes up to $249. One Sweet Spring would be lots of fun. The other thing, if you're looking for more super fun Kimberbell things, Digital Dealer 2023 is about to start. Digital Dealer exclusives. This is a monthly series of designs. Okay. Sorry. Okay. White mug outline. cocoa in white. Okay, digital dealer exclusives. There's 12 fabulous designs coming from Kimberbell this year. They're loaded backwards. The first one releasing in January is called Hey Sweetie. And it's a tea towel. So if you're having fun with tea towels this week, like I am, the Hey Sweetie tea towel is, you can get just this design on its own. Or you can sign up for the full year of designs for $120, which is definitely a savings for you. Or you can sign up for the whole year with kits, which would be a fantastic option for the year. So pick and choose your individual designs, or sign up for the whole year, or sign up for the whole year with kits. Any of those would be fabulous. We'll have videos coming out on all of these projects as we get the design files as well. So watch for the Hey Sweetie Pie tea towel video next week. It'll be releasing on YouTube. It almost says hot cocoa in white. I absolutely adore you guys for sticking around to watch the embroidery channel for so long. Greatly appreciate it. Got a brief sneak peek of what I get to look at while we film. After this hot cocoa stitches, we have just 3 more stitching steps. We have some text at the bottom, the 25 cents on the stand. So we're nearly done the embroidery, but it's lettering, so it's not going to stitch super fast. Just for interest's sake, embroidery machines do auto-regulate their speed based on stitch type for optimal stitch quality. So things like satin stitch are always going to stitch slower than things like a running stitch. And so that's why sometimes you think, oh, it's this many stitches, my machine can go this fast, it should only take this long. But something like the bigger, wider satin stitch that's on the bar top there, you do want your machine to slow down and stitch it properly and stitch it nicely. I agree, it's looking really adorable. Sometimes I make these ahead of time, but I thought it would be more fun to just make this one with you guys watching. I don't desperately need 2 of them at the moment. Sometimes I'm totally game for having 2 or 3 of something, but not this one. I just needed 1 for now. I didn't want to use up all the gray tea towels in the store. Wanted to give you guys the chance to get some of them. And I didn't want this on a white tea towel. Quite like this one on a gray tea towel. But it would look pretty cute on a navy tea towel too. I'm not sure I'd put it on a yellow tea towel. That might be weird. I think if I make this design again, I will make a block out of it and maybe combine it with the other demo December design with the warm and cozy with the penguin in his mitt, the penguin in the mitts. I think that's what I would do if I make this again. Really annoyed in a moment if I don't snip out that brown thread. Much better to not stick your fingers in a moving hoop, and certainly not to stick scissors in a moving hoop. Hit the stop button before you start putting sharp objects near the needle. We don't need catastrophic failure. That would be bad. So if you're wanting to do this design on something that would get washed and worn like an apron, or not just have a decorative tea towel because you're nervous that as much as you love your family, they are just going to get their grubby hands all over your beautiful tea towels. Instead of punching the eyelets, you could glue hot fixed rhinestones on there. You can sparkle without wiring up your tea towel. That would be a totally valid second option. And it would also give it that little bit of bling. Once more. If you guys do make this design, we'd love to see photos. You can join our Facebook group called mysewingroom.ca. It's just called My Sewing Room. You can find it through our Facebook page. It's a great place to share your projects, because we love seeing what you make. We teach things and you guys just watch for the entertainment value. It's entertainment. If we teach things and do demos like this and we see a finished project out of your guys' hands, it's education, which I'm a pretty big fan of being an educator. So we'd love to see those finished photos. If you're not a Facebook user, tag us on Instagram or email us photos at social@mysewingroom.ca. We love seeing them and we'll share them out. Without your full name and details, it could be Leah W. or just Leah. You can tell us how much you want to be identified. But we love seeing those projects. Or come into the store with them, show them off. I know sometimes my other half, he's lovely, but he doesn't get nearly excited enough when I make cute tea towels. So you guys are way better. You're watching the embroidery channel to see a cute tea towel happen. We can time lapse this and make it shorter for a replay. But if you're game to watch the whole demo happen in real time, I'm game to allow you to do that. So, I'm just going to keep talking about this embroiders because I can. It's a captive audience. You're not captive. I'm an engaged audience. Things that I would like to learn in 2023 in the sewing, crafting, embroidery world. I would really like to make more clothing. That's kind of my game plan for me on a personal level. Some of that might turn into some classes. But there's holes in my wardrobe that I could fill myself rather than attempting to go shopping for them. We have some really, really gorgeous thin wale corduroy that I think desperately needs to be a skirt. I was thinking it needed to be pants, but I don't like the way corduroy sounds when I walk. So I think it needs to be a skirt. So that's on my to-do list. A couple more sweaters because I'm cold all the time in the winter. I run around here with 8 layers on. And sometimes a toque on Mondays when I'm here and the store's closed. So more clothing for me. And yeah, we have some other things in the wings. We have a Hoop Sisters project called Navigator, which is a quilt that could be a wall hanging size or like king bed size project. So I'm pretty excited to get in and do that project. Probably be starting that as a class in March. So there's some things happening. There's some really adorable new designs from Patchabilities landing shortly. So some of those might be fun to do. And I like embroidering, so we're gonna keep doing some more of that, and maybe make more quilts. We'll see. This machine counts down time differently than the machine I embroider on at home. The time doesn't get shorter as it gets closer to the... It's been at the same time for like 3 minutes. So confused. But I know the time is decreasing because there's more and more stitches on my fabric. Ooh, more quilting with my embroidery machine. Because I love the accuracy of embroidery. So, more in the hoop quilting. That's also on my to-do list. I have to get more quilts to that stage, so I need to get over my fear of borders. I don't like putting borders on quilts. I don't mind the rest of the process, but borders doesn't make me super happy. Tea towel still firmly attached at the bottom there. Just had a brief moment of feeling like my stabilizer was not as stuck as it should be at the bottom of my tea towel. So I might do a very slight stabilizer repair. Just gonna flip this over for a moment. Oh no, we're okay. I think we're okay. Make sure that's all stuck. Last color. Smaller writing than the first bunch. A little bit of green to finish things off. It's not a little bit less writing. It's just as long. It's smaller though. Serve nightly till Christmas is this last line of text. In script, which, as far as weird things that my children aren't learning in school, my children aren't learning cursive. They are learning programming, which is probably more beneficial to their long-term careers. But my daughter has taken an interest and is willing to learn to read it. My son says it's gibberish, and he refuses to believe that cursive writing is a thing. So we just get arguments if anybody writes in cursive at our house. Not that I do. My printing is like, I could be a doctor. That's what my writing looks like. Not, but it could be. Nearly there, team. Nearly there. When you get to this lettering at the end, if you feel it sinking into your tea towel, the second line of text is quite small and quite dense. Both things are a little bit weird. Putting some wash away topping on top of your tea towel at this point would be beneficial. It'll help keep the lettering raised. OESD Stitch H2O would be super beneficial for this line of text to just help it stand up above the towel instead of sinking into the toweling itself. It would provide a little bit more stability overall with those stitches as well. And that little wiggle that the arm does after it cuts the thread helps to pull the thread tails up out of the fabric after it trims. So otherwise, sometimes you get jump stitches between those little tiny words, which is not so fun to go back in and trim afterwards. Have I ever done OESD embroidered cards? Yes. That's a great question on YouTube. Previously on our YouTube channel, there you should be able to search for cards. We have filmed making a couple of them. They're fantastic. They're so much fun. They're great gifts too. I gave embroidered cards. Okay, let's fully admit what happened. I did not have any cards made for Christmas Day. We had Christmas at home, just my immediate family, me and the kids and the hubby. And then the kids went to play with their Lego and they left me alone. So I went and embroidered and I made cards for my family that was coming for dinner later that afternoon. And I did 3 embroidered cards through the morning. Family arrived shortly after kind of lunchtime for Christmas dinner. And they all loved their cards. So embroidered cards, way to go. And it was a nice like last minute addition to their gifts. They all had more than enough fabulous stuff because I just sewed for them for Christmas this year. But yeah, embroidered cards are lots of fun. I would recommend maybe doing them not Christmas Day, but I will fully admit that's what I did. Fully admit. Great intentions earlier, and then Christmas Day felt like the day. I embroidered a couple more later on in the day because oh no, I made 6 cards Christmas morning. It got a little out of hand. I got excited and everybody was like not needing me. We didn't do a turkey, so I wasn't needed in the kitchen quite as early. And I did embroidered cards Christmas Day. It sounds like a good holiday to me. Embroidering during the holiday for the holiday. But there's a lot of fabulous card designs from OESD. Some of them you can embroider kind of directly on the paper if they're pretty thin. Lots of them you need a little bit of fabric or felt in behind to help hold up those stitches because cards do perforate. That paper has a penchant to come apart. I'm nearly done. And you guys have stayed on for one of the longest lives I've ever done. I appreciate you guys immensely. If you're watching this later on, feel free to like, no, don't fast forward. Watch the whole thing. There's lots of good stuff in here. But I did show the thing you needed earlier in the video. I'll pop back there for a real quick minute for everybody who joined us kind of later on today. It says finished embroidering. Longest live of my life. It's not actually, but I've had a longer one. There we go. Cocos and cookies. Let's switch back to that camera for a moment. There we go. Hot cocoa, 25 cents. Cocoa and cookies served nightly till Christmas. One little eyelet punched. A few more to do. You made it to the end. If you're watching this while you're making supper, way to go. That's awesome. Once more, if I will pop back over here, show you one more time if you're tuning in kind of, I don't know, mid-video. If you want to get this design for free, I know, it was really fun. I shouldn't have waited all week to embroider it. You guys would be way more excited about the first two videos had I done that earlier on. On our website, mysewingroom.ca, you are looking, you'll search up Boxing Week is the magic thing to find the things you need. Today's coupon code is COCO. So when you put that in the cart, it will turn the $20 COCO entry into a $0 COCO entry. And you can hit submit. You do need to do all three things. You'll have to watch Tuesday's video and yesterday's video. They're called parts 1 and 2. We'll talk about making tea towels in those ones, and enter all three codes. You'll get the design for free. You have until January 6th, 2023 to do so. And if you did play along for the or want to play along with the other Demo December videos we did, we have a whole folder on our YouTube channel called Demo December, and that one you have until December 31st at midnight Mountain Standard Time to complete those steps. So you could potentially have 2 free designs next week. You have a little bit of video watching to do though to get the information to do the free thing. So Boxing Week is what you're looking for on the website. Sorry, I lost you on the camera. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you guys so much for joining us for all of 2022. We look forward to carrying on in 2023, and I hope everybody has a fantastic New Year's. All the best for the new year for all of you. And if you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button or the heart, whichever platform you're on, and hit notifications and hit subscribe. We'd love it if you shared this with a friend, so they too can watch the embroidery channel. But it makes it, the more people we have watching, the easier it is for us to do more great videos. So thank you so much for all of 2022. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a great